I have an announcement to make. So we sent out an email last Sunday, actually, inviting you to attend various group gatherings throughout the week that we were hosting at people's homes for me to be able to communicate an announcement to you and then have some time for Q&A and processing and questions and the such. And so thanks for those of you that made time for that. And if you didn't, I'm going to make the same announcement today, and it's a fairly substantial one. I shared with the Saturday night service last night that I didn't know how I was going to feel making this announcement. But as I sat there last night, as I sat there again this morning and worship with you, I'm just overwhelmed with joy and gratitude and the goodness of our God that we just sang about. I'm overwhelmed that we are gifted with such an incredible and powerful and loving and perfect main character in our story that we get to follow together, and that's Jesus. And so to me, this is an exciting announcement, but there's part of it that's going to be sad as well. And so about 3 to 4 weeks ago, I made the decision that I am going to be stepping down as the lead pastor of Restoration Church. And with that, I want to clarify a few different things. Though I've made that decision, I am not leaving the church. I'm just leaving my role as the lead pastor. I intend to stay on as an elder. And if you're not familiar with how our church structure works, the elders hold the authority, the responsibility for the big picture, the vision, the finances, and then I would say, more importantly, the combination of vision, culture, and values. And so who we are as a church, where we're going as a church, how we function as a church is driven by our elders, and they hold the authority and responsibility for that. And then our staff is responsible for the day-to-day execution of what the elders have said, this is who we are and what we're going to be doing. And so to clarify, I'm going to be stepping down from my day-to-day role as the lead pastor in that function, but I will remain as an elder in the function that I'm currently in that role as well. So I will stay on as one of the team members. And a few more things to discuss with that. People are asking me, like, all right, you made this decision 3 or 4 weeks ago, but what led to that? Really, this has been a process for me since I was honestly a kid. Before I got into ministry, before I planted Restoration Church, I was always going back and forth and waffling between, do I get into business and leadership kind of things like my family was in as I grew up, or church? And I think God led me down this church leadership path, and it's been, for the most part, really, really good. But I've always been going, maybe I'll do both. Maybe there will be a season to make a shift. And as my wife and I have just processed and prayed and thought through these things over the years, we felt like as I'm getting older and our kids are getting older, if there's going to be a time to make this shift and give some other things a shot, that this would be the right season to do so. And so we're gonna take that step. With that said, I don't have a timeline. So I'm actually communicating this to you like ridiculously, prematurely, super early. It's backwards. As a leader, I do a lot of backwards things. I don't know if that's because I'm just like a contrarian to some degree, or I just think uniquely. But there's a few reasons why I'm telling you this early. The first is because I'm actually incapable of like hiding things. I don't actually know how to do that. So I can't hold on to this and just keep going. I just have to live my life how I live it. And I think that's pretty healthy for the most part. And so I wanted to just invite you into this journey with me, that I'm not leaving necessarily in 3 months or 6 months or 9 months. I don't know when it will be. And again, let me clarify, leaving my position. We'll see what God does. But I do know that's a step I want to pursue and take, and I just want to be on that journey with you. Our style as a church, our culture has been anytime we have good and helpful information that isn't going to harm somebody else, we're just going to give it to you and honestly walk through those things together. And so this is no different than that. Another part of me sharing quite early, even before I know what I'm going to go do or when or what it looks like, is actually a form of accountability for myself, both personal and public accountability. And the reason is this: I am not transitioning in this way because this is bad. In fact, I think it's quite the opposite. I love this church and I think it is deeply good. And so I actually need help making this transition because I've been going back and forth in my mind for a long time, and I know if I don't kind of speak this into existence, I'm just going to continue to go back and forth for a long time, and there comes a point when that wouldn't be healthy for myself, for my family, or our church, and I know this is a path that God is opening for me to step into. So again, I hope and believe that I've contributed to creating good here at Restoration, and now I'm not leaving because it's bad. It's really good, and I think its best days are ahead of us for Restoration Church, and I look forward to participating in them. I'm just hoping to go contribute to creating good in another space and context, whatever that may be. But I'll continue to participate, to give, to serve, to be a part of, hopefully to teach from time to time, and then in my role as an elder as well. Some friends and family were asking me, like, oh, how do you feel about making this announcement? Are you nervous about it? And I have not been nervous about it really at all. There was only one meeting I was nervous about, and I had it circled, and I waited till I had to make it, and then I'm like, all right, God, you got to help me with this one. And I was only nervous to meet with my eldest daughter, Aaliyah, because she's really strong-willed, and she has some strong opinions, and she won't think twice to tell me what she thinks. So I was nervous for that one, and the meeting went really well. Then the next day, she came up to me, and she goes, Dad, I think you should serve in our juniors, which is our 4th through 6th grade program. And I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, you would be amazing at it, Dad. You'd be so, so good. And I was like, first of all, who are you? But thank you, and my heart's like melting, getting a compliment from Aaliyah. It's so good. And then she paused, and then she's like, well, you'll have to talk a lot less and like keep it short and cut to the chase. But you'd be really good, Dad, if you can do those things. So I'm like, all right, we'll see if Miss Whitney lets me serve in our juniors. So. As far as the leadership for our church goes in the future, we feel like we have the luxury of really taking our time, and as elders, we're going to make those decisions of who in the right timing will take on my roles and responsibilities of the day-to-day for our church, and there will be at some point a new and different lead pastor, but we feel like we're blessed to not have to be in a rush for that. It could be an internal hire, it could be external. We're going to take our time, and I have the freedom, and staff and elders have communicated as long as I'm willing to stay in this role that will be good. And so we feel like God has this, it's going to be good. We're going to take our time as we see the next steps that he has for us. So with that said, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to come to me after. Anya, who's in the back, can help schedule meetings as well. If you have a host of questions, then maybe we'll schedule a meeting. And so often, the word transition, when it comes to church, is a 4-letter word. You hear transition, and there's some deep, dark, ugly story. And unfortunately, the reason we have that feeling when we hear about transition is because it's often true, which I think is really sad, because you read through the scriptures, if you've been born and breathed and lived for much time at all, transitions are a part of life, and they're not a bad part of life. And this isn't a bad transition. There can be good and healthy transitions, and I'm wholeheartedly convinced this will be one of those, and I'm excited for the opportunity to get to pioneer that in our church we can shift that ideology that every transition is a bad one. It isn't. God's good. God's got this, and I'm excited to see what he has for us in the future.